When it comes to a time and labor management solution, you need a tool that will not only allow your employees to clock in and out and request time off, but you also need a tool to proactively alert your managers of any pending action items and give your management team access into analytics that will help drive business outcomes and efficiencies. So let's jump right into our employees view and discuss the different ways that employees can track their time within the system. First, we have a mobile app, which will allow your employees to clock in or out through their mobile device. And keep in mind that we can define geofencing restrictions to ensure that your employees are clocking in at the right location. In addition, we can also work with a variety of different hardware devices, which can range from simple swipe devices to biometric devices. And then, of course, employees can also track their time using the web portal as well. So let's take a look at how our employees can collect and manage their time. Right here on my dashboard, I have quick access to clock in or clock out or change cost centers throughout the day. And by clicking here on the Change Cost Center button, I can then select the cost center that I will be working in. So as you can see, a list of available cost centers will appear for me to make my selection. And once selected, the user will then be notified that this transfer happened successfully. In addition, employees are also able to attach a document to their punch, so I can easily attach pictures of miles driven, pictures of completed work orders, or completed projects, etc., for my manager to review during the timesheet approval process. Also, across the top of this tile, employees will be notified of any missing punches that require their attention. And by clicking on this callout, an employee can quickly make the correction directly from their dashboard. A correction made from here can be routed for approval before being updated onto the employee's timesheet. You'll also notice that employees can jump right into their current timesheet from here to review their punch details. This will take me to my current timesheet where I can review all of my time entries so far for this pay period, and if necessary, I can request changes to be made to my timesheet through a timesheet change request. Here I can request that time be added or modified on my timesheet, and these requested changes will be routed through an approval process before going into effect. The system also allows an employee to track additional information such as tips, mileage, and expense reimbursements. In this example, I am going to submit an expense that occurred today. We can also select the type of expense, and we will need to enter in the dollar amount for this reimbursement. Now, in addition to simply tracking expenses, I can also upload a copy of my receipt for my manager to review as part of the timesheet approval process. Once approved, this extra pay will flow over into payroll. Now let's take a look at how an employee can request time off in the system. Right here on the employee's dashboard, they can visually see any upcoming PTO on their time off calendar, and they will have instant visibility into their PTO balances. And right from here, we have a quick link available that will allow the employee to easily access the time off request tool. Here we can see our time off balance details, and we have the option to donate hours into a company accruals bank or to an individual employee if needed. We can also initiate a time off request right from this screen. Now, before we begin this request, keep in mind that we can establish rules which could require an employee to have enough time accrued to accommodate this upcoming time off request. Here we have a calendar highlighting our current scheduled days and any upcoming PTO. This insight really helps employees as they are managing their time off. So to start our PTO request, we would simply need to select a day right here from this calendar. Now keep in mind that there is an optimized rules engine in place, allowing you to set rules around how your employees can take their vacation. For example, you could establish rules around blackout periods, or maybe to only allow a certain number of employees to be out on a given day. And if there is a violation against the PTO policy, then the system will create an error to identify that restriction. So in this case, the day I chose was highlighted as a restricted day, and I can toggle to the team view for additional information. Using the team calendar, I can see the other employees who will be out on this particular day, and I can decide how I want to proceed with my request. Now, to start this request, we would need to identify if this is going to be a full day, partial day, or multiple day event. And finally, you may also enter a comment for this request if needed. Now, if you put in a time off request on a day that is not available, you will receive a warning message. In this case, I will submit the request anyway, so we can see what the manager approval process will look like. Once the request has been submitted, a notification will alert the manager that the time off request is now ready for their review. Now let's take a look at how our managers can utilize the system to help manage their workload. When our manager logs in, he has everything that he needs in order to better manage his employees right here at his fingertips. So right from the dashboard, he can easily manage his day-to-day tasks. Keep in mind that any to-do item will trigger an email notification to the manager prompting them to take action. Now, using the time off awaiting my approval report, the manager has instant access to view all of the time off requests that were submitted by their employees. And remember, you can establish rules to enforce your time off policies, so by the time it reaches the manager's desk, it should be an easy approval. That said, managers may want to check out the time off calendar before going through the approval process. Here we have our time off calendar that is currently being filtered for the current month. You also have the option to view this calendar on a weekly or an annual basis as well. Now, each type of time off is color-coded for better visibility, and any pending requests will be identified here on the calendar as well. So right from the calendar, we can see if there are any other employees who are out on this particular day, and we can determine if we want to approve this request. So as you can see, due to our time off policy, there is a reminder that there are no slots available. So in this case, we will use our discretion to approve this request. Now keep in mind, you can set up multiple levels of approval based upon your business needs. And once this has been approved, a notification will go back to the employee letting them know the status of their request, and the time off can then be exported to their calendar. Now we can move forward with approving the timesheets. Now, as managers prepare for the timesheet approval process, they have access to this timesheet tasks report, which will make their timekeeping tasks easy to review. This widget can be filtered for the current pay period or the previous pay period. And you'll notice that this widget is divided into two sections. We have open issues and we have timesheet approvals. The open issues will flag any missing punches that need to be corrected, and it will also flag any open timesheet change requests, time off requests, or overtime requests that require approval. And then by clicking on any of these open issues, managers can quickly correct the missing punches or approve the requests right from their dashboard. Now we also have a window displaying all of the timesheets that are awaiting our approval. So the manager can approve all of these timesheets at once or on an individual basis. Now there are checks and balances in place to flag any missing punches so we can make sure everything is correct before we send these hours into payroll. So we can see here that our employee has an incomplete time entry. So let's go ahead and skip this timesheet and approve the rest. Managers can then drill down into the timesheet to make that correction. And they can easily locate the missing punch as it is highlighted right here on the timesheet. So it appears that the employee did not clock out at the end of the day, so let's correct that punch. Now keep in mind that the system is capturing all of these changes in an audit trail. So we can capture who made the change, when the changes were made, the old value versus new values, and which IP address the change was made from. In addition, notes can be left against a timesheet to provide additional information about why a change was made. So if there is ever a discrepancy, you can always look back to that audit trail to get a better understanding of what happened. Now keep in mind that managers can also initiate a timesheet change request for this correction, which can require the employee's final approval. That said, once the missing punch has been corrected, you can move forward with approving the timesheet. And once these timesheets reach final approval, then they will be ready for payroll processing. Now, our managers are looking for a tool that will give them visual insights into their team's operations, allowing them to view key metrics, analyze trends, and prompt them to take action when needed. So managers can create these custom dashboard reports to give them that much needed insight as to what is going on within their department. So while we are here on the team dashboard, let's take a look at some analytics that I've created to take a deeper dive into the attendance issues across my team. And keep in mind that these tiles are customizable, so you can determine what type of metrics you would like to display here. Attendance is so important when it comes to managing your team, so using this attendance board, you can see in real time who is in or out of the office at any given point throughout the day. On this dashboard, you can also flag any absences or any other attendance concerns. And these attendance issues will trigger an email notification to management so they are aware and they can take any necessary action. Now, understanding that labor costs are such a large business expense, it is also important that our managers get a good pulse on the labor associated with their team. So here I have created some analytics to get further insight as to what makes up our labor expenses. So here I've created a chart that will show us how many total hours were worked in each cost center for a defined date range. And then as we dig into our labor costs, one of the biggest reasons for unnecessary labor costs is overtime. So in looking at the overtime trends chart, I can quickly identify if my overtime is an isolated occurrence or if it's a reoccurring event. And I can drill down into this data directly from my dashboard to get further insight. Now, in order to better control overtime costs, you really need a tool that will give you instant visibility into your overtime so you can quickly take action and cut those unplanned labor costs. So here I have created an approaching overtime report, which will automatically alert management of those who have worked over a certain number of hours. Having this insight will allow managers to be more observant of how their employees are spending their time and will ultimately help to prevent that unnecessary overtime from occurring. In addition, this dashboard provides tools to help understand where the majority of your overtime is coming from. So essentially, you can monitor these overtime metrics so you can see which cost centers have accrued overtime and which employees make up those overtime hours. These metrics will help to determine if the overtime is a problem for one employee or a concern across the entire team. And then you can use these metrics to help make strategic business decisions such as reallocating the workload or possibly hiring a new employee. Now, to view these metrics in further detail, we can drill down into these reports directly from the dashboard. Now, to get better insight into where my overtime is occurring, I'm going to begin by grouping this by cost center. Now, this has helped me reorganize my data for better visibility. Each cost center is listed here on the left, and the cost center totals are available here on the right, with a breakdown of all of the employees listed beneath them. In addition, I can get more detail and analyze my overtime trends by changing the date range of this report. You can change the filters within this report to look for a specific calendar range, date range, or pay period. We can also filter our reports for information around specific employees. Now, when it comes to reporting, each report has ad hoc reporting features where managers can pull information into their reports as needed. The current columns displayed within your report are listed here on the right, and on the left is a list of all of the available reportable columns. So let's do a search to bring in our hourly pay. Using the up and down arrows, we can decide where we want to display this column within our report. And when we're happy with the placement, we can apply these changes. Now we can see the hourly pay column has been added into our report. And once you've configured your report to your liking, you can then save those settings. When saving your reports, you have the opportunity to share this report with other managers across your organization. You can also export this report. So let's take a quick look at our export formats. As you can see, you can export these reports into one of the standard export settings that are listed here. You can also choose to have this report delivered right to your inbox for easy access. Managers can also create charts and visualizations based upon the metrics collected in this report to get further insight, as you can see here at the bottom of the screen. In addition, we have a guided analysis tool that will help assist in the analysis of your data. As you can see, when using this tool, you are able to easily pull metrics to get better insights into your overtime across different cost centers or managers. You can also get a breakdown of how work time is being distributed by demographic, etc. So let's take a look at an example. First, we need to choose the cost center that we are going to be evaluating. Then we want to review our weekly overtime hours compared to our regular hours. And finally, we want to establish the date range that we will be evaluating. And then once ready, you can simply click on the Assist Me button. And this brings up our Insights Explorer results. In this case, we are able to get a better handle on how our work time is being distributed by employee demographics based on the filters that we had selected. Here we can see the regular hours and the overtime hours are being broken down by ethnicity and age. We can also expand this report to include gender as well. And at the bottom of this report, the system has created additional charts to better visualize these demographics. I hope you were able to see that when it comes to managing your workforce, this solution will allow you to get the insights you need by providing the right tools to help you better manage your team, control your labor costs, and allow you to make more strategic business decisions.